What are you afraid of? Maybe it's that late-night thought that you're falling behind in life. Maybe it's that pounding heart before a tough conversation. Or the silent panic that anything will go wrong. Fear and anxiety aren't weaknesses, they're part of being human, but what we do with them, that's where greatness lies. 2,000 years ago, while emperors ruled and empires crumbled, a slave named Epictetus, an emperor named Marcus Aurelius, and a senator named Seneca were writing the first manual on how to deal with fear and win. This isn't about being fearless, it's about being unbreakable. Let's walk through 8 Stoic laws that will help you not just manage fear and anxiety, but dominate them. 1. Identify and challenge your fears. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things. Epictetus. Fear rarely comes from what's actually happening. It comes from the movie playing in your mind, the what-ifs, the worst-case scenarios, the mental monsters you create in the dark. Your boss sends a short email. Let's talk tomorrow. Your mind instantly jumps. Am I getting fired? Did I mess up? What now? But pause for a second. Has anything happened yet? Number. You're reacting not to reality, but to a story you wrote in your head. This is where Stoicism kicks in like a mental reset button. The Stoics teach that fear is just judgment in disguise. You've decided that something bad will happen. But what if you challenged that decision? Try the Seneca method. Worst case scenario practice. Seneca, one of Rome's sharpest minds, had a habit most people today would call strange, but it worked. He'd deliberately imagine the worst outcome. What if I lost everything? He'd feel it, sit with it, own it. And when he did, something magical happened. The fear shrank. He realized, even if this happens, I'll survive, I'll adapt, I'll grow. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Once you name your fear, really look at it, it loses its edge. It's like turning the lights on in a room full of ghosts. They're not demons, they're just shadows. And the thing about shadows, they disappear when you stand in the light. 2. Embrace the present moment. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Let's be real, most of what keeps us up at night hasn't even happened yet. You're lying in bed, heart racing, running through scenarios like, what if I mess up that presentation? What if they leave me? What if, what if, what if? But here's the truth. Fear and anxiety don't live in the present. They depend on your mind drifting into the future or being chained to the past. The Stoics were clear. You only own one moment, right now. The past, it's a museum. The future, it's a fog. But this moment, this exact breath, that's your kingdom. And the more you train your mind to return to it, the less power fear has over you. Practice mindful observation. This isn't some complicated spiritual practice. You don't need incense or a mountain retreat. Just sit 1 minute, seriously. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your chest rise and fall. Hear the hum of life around you. Let thoughts come and go, but don't follow them. Just watch. You'll realize something powerful. Fear loses its grip when you stop feeding it your attention. Your anxiety only has fuel if you keep traveling in time. The present is quiet, it's calm, it's enough. And in that stillness, you'll find a kind of power most people never tap into. The power to choose, to act, and to be fully alive. The Stoics weren't just teaching philosophy. They were offering survival skills for the soul. So the next time your mind spirals into worry, remember this. You're not required to attend every anxious thought your brain throws at you. You can simply come home to now. And right now, you're okay. You're breathing. You're enough. That's where strength begins. 3. Cultivate mental resilience. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. Seneca. Let's get one thing straight. Resilience doesn't mean pretending you're okay. It means you've been through hell and came back standing. In Stoicism, resilience is not about putting on a brave face. It's about building an inner citadel, a mental fortress so steady, nothing on the outside can shake what's inside. Life will test you. You'll get rejected. You'll lose people. Plans will fall apart. But the Stoics knew that you don't fall apart unless you choose to. Your mind, when trained, is stronger than circumstance. It can take the hit, process it, and respond with clarity instead of panic. How do you build that kind of strength? You practice hardship on purpose. Epictetus, who was born a slave and walked with a limp for life, believed that every challenge was a chance to grow tougher. Not colder, not numb, just steadier. Practice, reframing, and voluntary discomfort. When something bad happens, don't just ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this training me for?" That shift in perspective is everything. You also build resilience by facing small discomforts every day. Take the stairs. Skip the second coffee. Sit in silence instead of grabbing your phone. Say no when it's easier to say yes. These tiny acts of discipline harden your mind without hardening your heart. Because here's the truth. When you stop avoiding discomfort, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, you become dangerous in the best way. You become the calm in the storm. The one people look to when things fall apart. The one who doesn't need perfect conditions to act with courage. So build your inner citadel, one difficult moment at a time. And when the next storm hits, and it will, you won't crumble. You'll smile. Because you were built for this. 4. Let go of control. Some things are in our control and others not. Epictetus. Here's one of the hardest pills to swallow. You don't control nearly as much as you think you do. You can't control the traffic. You can't control your boss's mood. You can't control the economy, the weather, or what someone thinks of you. Yet most of our anxiety comes from trying to grip those things like a clenched fist. And the tighter we squeeze, the more exhausted we become. The Stoics were brutally honest about this. They said, draw the line. On one side, what's in your hands. On the other, what isn't. Focus only on what's yours. Because trying to control what isn't yours, that's not strength. That's suffering in disguise. Practice the circle of control. Draw a circle. Inside, your thoughts, your choices, your attitude. Outside, other people, outcomes, timing, weather, opinions. Every time your mind spirals, bring it back to that circle. Ask, is this inside my control? If yes, act. If not, release. Sound simple? It island, but not easy. Because letting go isn't weakness. It's choosing your battles wisely. And it's powerful. Think about it. You waste less energy. You sleep better. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. You become unshakable not because life gets easier, but because you stop fighting what you can't win. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up with clarity. You say, I'll do my best, but I won't chase control where there is none. My peace matters more. The world may still be chaotic, but you won't be. Because the Stoic doesn't need to control everything. They just need to master themselves. And that changes everything. 5. Reframe negative thoughts. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. Epictetus. Here's a truth most people don't want to admit. Your thoughts are not facts. Just because a voice in your head says, I'm not good enough, doesn't mean it's true. Just because your mind whispers, you're going to fail, doesn't mean it's prophecy. It's just noise. And if you don't learn to question that noise, it will run your life. The Stoics knew this. They taught that you must become the gatekeeper of your mind. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion needs a reaction. Some thoughts, you just let them pass like clouds in the sky. But others, you challenge them. Practice Stoic thought reframing. Let's say your mind says, I always mess things up. Ask yourself, 2. Is this always true? 2. Where's the proof? 2. What's a more rational story? Try this instead. I've made mistakes, but I'm learning. I'm getting better. I've handled worse, and I'm still here. Boom. That's reframing. That's power. Your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. The Stoics were masters of this mental jujitsu. They didn't suppress emotions, they transformed them. Anger became fuel for justice. Fear became a call to courage. Failure became data. That's it. Remember, you don't have to believe every thought. You don't have to panic at every fear. You don't have to spiral every time doubt shows up. You can pause, breathe, reframe, and in that moment, you take back control. Because here's the secret: your life will follow the direction of your dominant thoughts. So make sure they're not lies. Reframe them and rewrite the story. Because your future depends on the thoughts you choose today. 6. Practice gratitude daily. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Let's be honest, gratitude sounds like a cheesy self-help slogan. Be thankful. Count your blessings. It feels nice, but in the middle of real stress, real anxiety, it feels hollow. But Stoicism saw gratitude differently, not as a feel-good mantra, but as a mental weapon. Why? Because fear thrives in scarcity. Anxiety whispers, "You're not enough, you don't have enough, something's missing." Gratitude shuts that down. It says, "Look again, you have more than you see." It rewires your brain from panic to presence, from lack to abundance. It doesn't ignore your problems, it just reminds you they're not the whole picture. Practice the daily Stoic 3. Each night before bed, write down 3 things. 1. One thing you did well today. Not what happened, what you chose. 2. One thing you're genuinely thankful for. A moment, a person, even something tiny like warm coffee. 3. One challenge that grew you. Not a setback, a stepping stone. This practice isn't about toxic positivity. It's not pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting your mental spotlight from what's missing to what's already here. Because when you train yourself to notice what's working, you calm your nervous system. You sleep deeper. You make decisions from a place of clarity, not fear. And slowly, something changes inside you. You stop chasing more to feel okay. You stop letting your joy depend on outcomes. You start living from a place of enoughness. That's the Stoic version of gratitude. Not soft, not sentimental, but strong, grounded, and life-changing. Because in a world screaming, "You need more to be happy," gratitude calmly replies, "I already have what matters." 7. Choose courage over comfort. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Comfort is seductive. It's warm, it's easy, it promises safety. But here's the truth no one tells you. Comfort is a liar. It tells you to play it safe, to avoid risk, to wait until you're ready. But you're never really ready. And courage? Courage is doing it anyway. The Stoics didn't admire those who avoided fear. They admired those who walked through it deliberately, consistently, even trembling. Epictetus was born a slave. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during plagues and war. Seneca was exiled by an emperor. They didn't get comfort. They got challenge. And instead of running, they leaned in. Practice the daily discomfort habit. Every single day, do one thing that makes you just a little uncomfortable. Speak up when it's easier to stay silent. Say no when you'd rather avoid conflict. Start the project you've been delaying for someday. Why? Because each act of micro-bravery builds a kind of muscle. The more often you stretch that muscle, the less power fear has over you. And here's the beautiful twist. You don't just face fear, you redefine it. Fear stops being a red light. It becomes a green light, a signal that says, "Go here, this is where growth lives." The Stoics taught us, pain is not the enemy, fear is not the enemy, avoidance island. So don't waste your life hiding in the shadows of what if. Step into the fire, let it forge you. Courage isn't loud, it doesn't need applause. Sometimes, courage is just showing up again and again when everything in you wants to run. And if you do that, you don't just become fearless. You become unstoppable. 8. Anchor to your unbreakable why. If you know the why, you can endure almost anyhow. Nietzsche, embraced by the Stoics. Let's be honest, life will knock you down. Hard days are not a possibility, they're a guarantee. And when they come, motivation fades, discipline cracks. Even the strongest minds get tired. So what keeps you going when the storm doesn't stop? Your why. The Stoics didn't seek fame, pleasure, or approval. They anchored their lives to something deeper: virtue, duty, purpose. For Marcus Aurelius, it was leading with justice. For Epictetus, it was teaching wisdom despite his suffering. Their why wasn't tied to outcomes. It was tied to who they chose to be. That's the kind of why that makes you unshakable. Because when your life is driven by purpose, fear becomes noise. When your actions are rooted in principle, obstacles lose their power. Practice morning anchor ritual. Each morning, before you scroll, rush, or react, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What values do I want to embody, no matter what happens? If today was difficult, what would still make it meaningful? Write it down, make it visible. Let it become your North Star. Because when you lose your why, you chase anything. But when you remember it, you can endure everything. And don't worry if your why isn't perfect. It will evolve. You'll outgrow parts of it. But what matters is that it's yours. Not society's, not your parents', not Instagram's. Yours. When life feels heavy, return to it. When fear creeps in, return to it. When you want to quit, return to it. Your unbreakable why is the anchor that holds you steady, even when the sea gets violent. Because with purpose, you don't just survive. You rise. Final message. Your mind is stronger than the storm. Fear whispers, you're not ready. Anxiety screams, what if you fail? But Stoicism stands calmly in the middle of the storm and says, let it come. I'm ready. You are not your fear. You are the one who chooses how to respond. Live these 8 Stoic laws, not someday, today. Because every time you act with clarity, with courage, with purpose, you chip away at anxiety's hold. If this message sparked something in you, like this video, drop a comment. Which Stoic law will you start with? And don't forget to subscribe, because strength isn't built in one video. It's built daily, and we're building it together.